The suspected killer of Charlie Kirk facing the death penalty after getting formally charged with aggravated murder and a slew of other counts. There were 7 in total. Prosecutors in Utah describing some of the disturbing text messages the alleged assassin sent to his roommate/lover. And now, how did the liberal media cover it? Well, instead of being horrified, ABC's Matt Gutman and Montel Williams spun it like a twisted love story.
It was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. This duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. Text messages that are so fulsome, so robust, so apparently, allegedly self-incriminating, and yet on the other hand, so touching, right?
We're talking about a love-torn child, a kid. This is probably his first real relationship. And somebody was disparaging the person that he loved. I don't believe he was motivated politically. I think this was motivated emotionally.
ABC's Gutman later apologizing and posting, quote, "I deeply regret that my words did not make that clear, but let there be zero doubt here, I unequivocally condemn this horrific crime." And as prosecutors lay out the mountain of evidence that shows that the suspect was overtaken by left-wing ideology, they were explicit about that. CNN is still confused about the motive.
We don't have a motive yet. We don't know yet. We're waiting. Obviously, we've heard what the governor's had to say, what the FBI director said today.
Come on, we don't have a motive yet.
We know.
We don't have a motive yet.
What's
really?
happening with?
Really, that's CNN's position.
I mean, from law enforcement,
he just happened
Senator,
to fire the gun in celebration.
I'm not arguing with you politically. I'm saying that law enforcement has not put a specific motive. You know that there's a difference of what they're putting in a legal argument than what you're talking about, and you're not even. We're not even arguing about.
All right. Well, I'd like to pull up the motive. Caitlin must have missed the press conference that day. Greg, here are the texts from the roommate. Roommate, why? Tyler, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Tyler, I had enough of his hatred. Some hatred cannot be negotiated out. He hated Charlie Kirk and what he stood for. That seems to be the motive.
I don't see it at all, Kaylee. I just see love-struck, non-binary Romeo and Juliet. I'm waiting for the American Crime Story to be released. And of course, they're gonna make them the heroes, and they're gonna make Charlie, based on complete fabrications, the bad guy, because that's what Hollywood does. The anti-hero always trumps the hero, and they will never realize that Charlie was above both. Imagine doing this to other horrible people. Yeah, Hitler killed 6 million Jews, but did you ever see his watercolors? Or, John Wayne Gacy, he killed some kids, but he's great around pets. Just because, really bad people can have a moment of tenderness, but it doesn't deserve your observation when you're reporting a story. You're not hosting The Bachelorette. And it sucks because his name's Gutman, so close to Gutfeld. But you see, I think what bugs me about this is that we've seen this before. If you're old enough to remember, from Angela Davis to Luigi Mangione, the blood doesn't even have to dry before they rewrite the narrative, and it will always be based on the story that they prefer. And this is how it starts. It starts with the text. I go back to Charlottesville. When Trump said there were fine people on both sides, he was talking about the statue debate. The media knew that, but they changed it. So it was, no, he's talking about Nazis. That was the tentpole hoax that allowed all the other hoaxes to come in, and it was the one that Joe Biden references. I ran for president because of Charlottesville, because he said fine people. So that story was warped by people who had to believe that Trump was a racist bigot. So they created this story, and now they're going to do this with Charlie. And it's our responsibility to stop it. And that means just being relentless about it. The same way that the fine people hoax was dismantled by Cortez, I can't think of his first, Steve Cortez, Scott Adams, Joel Pollak. Everybody's got to do this with this one in the name of Charlie. You can't let him get away with it.
Absolutely. Brian, it's very strange to me that 2 separate people could arrive at the same conclusion. Hearing an assassin lay out exactly how they did this to their lover, and you have Gutman walking away with this Romeo and Juliet love story, and then you have Montel Williams, a love-torn child, a kid who tried to defend his significant other. How do 2 people arrive at that conclusion?
I mean, you stole a lot of my thunder when you said if you need a motive, you need any help. All he said is, I had enough of this hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated. He took him out because of that. So I think Howard Montel Williams, who we both know, I think is a good guy. He's going through a lot of physical problems, but a great talk show host for 30 years. How could he sit there and try to rationalize, well, this is a love story gone wrong, misconstrued? How could Matt Gutman's been doing this for 20 plus years? And I think he does a really good job, obviously, a network anchor. Caitlin Collins, who I know, there's
you know everybody.
I do, because I don't want to make it personal. I think the one thing is missing is when people talk about why is Israel acting like this in Gaza, when people are saying why the people on the Five, why is Fox News getting so upset about Charlie Kirk? We know him, and you haven't seen the video. You didn't watch the 10/7 video of what happened to the Israelis that led to the Gaza incursion and the war. And I hate to say it, but you didn't know Charlie Kirk. That's bad on you. Maybe not your fault, but you didn't see how he died. If you saw how he died, you wouldn't be saying, it just seems like a guy that didn't know his gender and was separated from his family. Let's try to make sense of this. And to your point, there are people, very smart people, that will say to you, well, we know the laptop wasn't real. We know the laptop was fake. And I go, what are you talking about? They don't watch us. They don't make any effort to go past the network news or CNN, MSNBC. There are people that really think that Vladimir Putin put Donald Trump in the office the first time. They didn't see the unwinding of the Mueller report. So these are not uneducated people. They have just no idea. And when Jimmy Kimmel came out last night or the night before, and what did he say in that 12-second soundbite? Jimmy Kimmel came out and said, these MAGA guys wanted to pretend that this guy wasn't one of them. So you might go, of course he's not. Of course he's not MAGA. He hates Donald Trump. He hates Charlie Kirk. All you have to do is see that. So you think, what's the big deal? He doesn't get much ratings, and he's just going to hate Trump. But there's people that only get their news from him, ABC, the rest, and they don't know that he is not MAGA, that this is an assassination of Kirk, that he did hate him. It was intended for him. He horrifically took someone out in the prime of his life. And the only way you could sit there and try to rationalize this is a relationship, or did he see star-crossed, did he have a hard time dealing with his gayness, was if you didn't see the reality of how Charlie died.
Yeah, Kimmel saying the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize the kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them.
One of the most asinine things I ever heard.
Conspiracy land, literally. Harold, there's 3 data points that to me, we talk about a common set of facts. The left loves this. What are the common set of facts? Fact 1, we showed you the text messages. Fact 2, the mother said he was turning towards left-wing ideology. He became enveloped in this trans ideology. Fact 3, the county attorney, Jeff Gray, not a political partisan actor, said he was motivated by left-wing ideology. It's an inescapable conclusion, so why can't the left acknowledge this set of facts?
Well, good to be back with everybody. I think that, these excesses on both sides I don't get too caught up in them. I think that people can arrive at different decisions about a set of events, and it's not for me to judge them or not judge them. I reach my own conclusions. I think what happened to Charlie Kirk was a total assault on our country. I didn't agree with Charlie on most things he said publicly. I didn't know him well enough to know some of his private feelings, but the public things I didn't agree with. But what I admired most about him was he believed in dissent and believed in open debate and believed in honest debate. And he certainly didn't deserve what happened. 2, I listened to President Trump when he talked about this young man's, the suspected assassin's family. He said that it seemed like it was a good family. Maybe the president was saying it because they were supporters of him, but he said it seems like a good family. It seems like somewhere along the line, he got radicalized. Something happened to this kid. And I think about how we kind of solve these things. He may have been radicalized by left ideology, and probably was. But Katie, I'm sorry, Kaylee, you may be right. I heard what Montel said, and I had never considered what he said. He's likely wrong, but I'd never considered that maybe, let's just hear me one sec, Brian. We're all human, and that's the opinion he reached. I don't necessarily agree with him. But here's what I do know. You look over the last several years, and you see the number of killings like this. They generally have a couple things in common, at least the experts say. There's either, or one of all things, there's either some trauma, childhood trauma involved with these people. They have some sort of personal grievance about something. 3, there's some script or manifesto they've concocted in their head that justifies what they've done. And 4, they have access to a gun. And fifth, we're seeing increasingly they're young white guys who are being radicalized or have some sort of massive exposure to something online. That's what I want to figure out how we get at. And in this case, there's no doubt, Kaylee, hold on one second. There's no doubt the leftist ideology played a role. I'm not denying.
Even Abby Phillip acknowledged there was
right, but there are a lot of people who are exposed to leftist ideology who don't kill people. There are a lot of people who are exposed to neo-Nazism who don't kill people.
Sure.
You look at the guy who went up to Buffalo in 2022, 18 years old, drove 200 miles and killed 9 people in a grocery store in a black neighborhood. And he said he was a neo-Nazi. I think people who have different...
That's apples and oranges.
Yeah,
I know, but let me...
Radicalization is what I'm saying.
Yes, okay, but I guess what I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying about the radicalization, but the mechanism of the radicalization is way different when you have a constant drumbeat of brainwash, where you have 8 to 10 years of people in the media. These are not... wait. These are not rock stars. These are not artists saying Nazi, Nazi. These are news anchors. These are politicians. These are college professors that are actually legitimizing this and saying it over and over again. This is why this is different.
No, but Harold,
but President Trump said what I said. He said that something happened to it. Says that there was a radicalization. My only point is, I want to get after that. If you're right, and you probably are right.
Harold, it's not a probably.
If it's a leftist ideology, how do we stop it from radicalizing? I want to get
Kennedy in here, but
I'm just saying, y'all interrupted me. I was just trying to make my point.
Very cut and dry. You cannot get more cut and dry than, why did you kill Charlie Kirk? We can even pull up the text message. I had enough of his hatred. What did Charlie stand for? Charlie wasn't a left-winger. Charlie was a mainstream conservative. Charlie was a Christian. Charlie was a constitutionalist. And the man hated that, and he wrote it in a text, Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean, not too different from Luigi Mangioni's manifesto that you talked about, which, I'm sorry, if you are trying to instill fear in people using your politics or based on their politics, that's terrorism.
Yep.
And I'm shocked that they dropped those 2 charges from Mangione.
Well, the court did. The prosecutor tried to do it. Right,
yeah.
The court did.
The judge allowed that. And, Paul Morrow's like, Alvin Bragg should probably appeal that.
Yeah.
You talk about trauma. A lot of people have had trauma. Most people have had childhood trauma. They don't go out and murder someone that they find to be abhorrent. I'm sure there's a lot of people that Oprah disagrees with. She had a very tough childhood. She's not going to murder someone. But my problem is, the defense that, he's this love-struck teen who is so angry on behalf of his lover. A lot of people are angry. So, Randy Weingarten said, well, leftists, they go to the college. They sign petitions to keep Charlie Kirk off the campus. MAGA people, Trump supporters, they're the ones who murder people. No, it was this person. And now they're trying to take this chasm between confronting someone rhetorically with ideas.
You have to look at me. I'm agreeing with you. I'm only making the point.
They are normalizing the way they've normalized the terms fascist and Hitler and authoritarian and Nazi. They're doing the same thing with murder, and they're trying to equate someone's anger, which can be voiced in words, with someone picking up a bolt-action rifle and aiming it at a father's head and killing him in front of people in cold blood. It is not the same thing. And that is an objective fact. You said that you're not going to judge people because everyone has their own subjective interpretation. I disagree vehemently. This is objectively wrong. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care what you disagree with. I don't care what your politics are. It is never, ever okay. And there's never been a better time for people like Randy Weingarten and Montel Williams, who was my favorite Montel since the 90s. But you know what? Montel Jordan.
Not Montel Jordan?
Montel Jordan is my favorite Montel once again because this is how we do it.
No, I am not suggesting in any way that I agree with them. But I give people the space. I want to understand what they're saying, because clearly, if everyone were like you and me and you, people wouldn't be being killed while they're giving a speech. If everyone were like the 5 of us, people could have their views, people could state their positions, and we wouldn't have violence gripping us. We have a problem in our society. And if we think we can brush it away, flush it away by saying, it's just because these leftists did this and this leftist did that.
There's no brushing. There's no flushing.
I'm only saying,
we gotta go.
President Trump said this kid was radicalized. If we don't face this thing with social media and look at it in totality, we're unfortunately going to be talking about this a lot more.
We got to run, but this only changes when people on the left, like Senator Fetterman, stands up and says, stop comparing Trump to Hitler. That is the only way this ends.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.